All right. Really, really sorry. Gosh, we probably lost a bunch of people because of that. And I'm so sorry. It'll never happen again. Um, I got all dressed up too. I actually wore a sweater and, anyway. So what we were talking about that some of you missed, some of you didn't, was about what the experiences have been looking back from week 1 all the way to the end of week 4, where you're frustrated, where you've missed out on some things, and we had some good lessons there. I will include that portion of the recording with this one when we go on. And yeah, so again, my apologies on that. And we really got into a little bit about the mindset, and because we're at 10:20, I have a few more minutes that we can spend on, we had Letitia starting to talk a little bit about and Letitia, I'd like you to pick that back up if you would, about what you were starting to say about I was feeling like is what you said, and then I had to cut you off. So tell me a little bit about that.
Okay, so I was just saying, I feel a little bit like in the movie Bambi, when Bambi's first born and it's a fawn and it like tries to stand up and then it falls and then it tries to stand up. And just what I mean in regards to the weekly assignments is, I've started all of them, but, everything from SWOT analysis to, writing the letter to introduce, but none of it has come to full circle to completion. And yes, and I know myself well enough. I'm battling back and forth between having the structure put in place. I know once I start calling people, I'll create a lot of production very quickly. But for example, I used my introduction to a builder, so somebody I know that's a contractor, yesterday, and then he goes, "Oh, well, do you sell commercial buildings?" And I was like, "Yeah, yes, I sell everything." He's like, "Oh shoot, I think she just found a realtor." And I was like, "Call her and sign her, ask her if she's signed a contract, and if you haven't, like, call me." So I also realized then within my phone there's a lot of missed opportunities. So just trying to figure that out. Maybe I'm just drinking through a fire hose.
You are, but let's stop and give you some credit for some things. First, I want to say, Ryan, your little story last week, I had a bunch of calls from people that said that just little story in your sort of unassuming way that you told the story inspired a lot of other people to say, well, and by the way, this isn't meant offensive to you at all, Ryan, but well, if he can do it and he's kind of shy, quiet, and unassuming, I can do it, right? And all it is a matter of what you did. You looked in your phone and you said, there's a guy that I haven't talked to in a while. Isn't that basically what you said? And you picked up the phone and talked to him. And you didn't answer the phone like, dude, we haven't talked in a while. Do you need to buy or sell a house? That's not what you did, was it? No. So you had a conversation, you decided to meet, you met. And not only did he want to work with you, but he wanted to tell other people about you, right? Couple of names for that. Raving fan would be one of them, right? He's already a raving fan of Ryan, and you hadn't even sold his house or bought him a new one yet. So Letitia, one of the other things I want to compliment you on is, notice the guy said, "Oh, I think she found a realtor." Do you know how many realtors would say, "Oh, well, maybe next time"? Not Letitia. She said, "Have they signed a buyer broker agreement?" Like, she's like, "Are you sure they're committed to this other agent, or did they just find another agent?" Good for her. She hasn't let go of the bone yet, because she's still got a chance. And you've got to compliment yourself on that, Letitia, and keep doing more of that. So thank you for that. All right. Who else has had some struggles with mindset, finishing all the work that between week 1 and week 3, and we're done with week 4. How many of you have had some frustrations with that? I want everybody participating, because I want to talk a little bit about the book today, and a lot about some of the things that were available in this chapter 4, so in 4th week. So who wants to say something else about that? Just unmute yourself and talk. Go ahead, Randall.
I haven't had any fun. Oh, good morning, everybody. So I haven't had any frustrations, but I've had the similar of what Letitia just kind of mentioned, where I got everything going and started, and I just kind of really focused on the 61 points per day, and I think I just like lost everything else. I've been like, dang, I gotta get my top 50 together. I'll do it later on today. And then, I'll get to doing my 61 point cold calling and getting the appointment set and start adding the points up. And it's like, dang it, I didn't get my top 50 together. Like I said, I was like 2 straight days. So I think, with the weekly tasks, I kind of feel like maybe I need to start prioritizing getting the tasks done. And then, honestly, I'm just not sure exactly how I'm gonna get back on track, but I'm kind of in the same position where I'm not frustrated, but I know I got to get back on track, so, or get organized more importantly.
Okay, good. So let me comment on that really quickly, Randall. The 61 points of rhythm, if you're doing them, is probably all you need to worry about, right? But you have to look at yourself and saying, are my points honest, right? Am I just trying to count up points, or am I trying to get business? Okay.
Yeah.
So if it becomes just an act of, oh, I got the points. Well, if you got the points, let me tell you this. People that average 61 points a day, 5 days a week, are doing between 2 and 3 closings a month within 3 months of starting the 61 points a day. Does that make sense to everybody? These are actual statistics after doing 61 points in Workman Success Systems with thousands of clients, thousands. Now, so they've done the analytics or the algorithms or whatever the hell you want to call them, but I'm going to tell you this. If it just is an act, because we've seen it, oh, I'm getting all the points, but I'm not closing deals. Then we go back and say, how are you getting the points? What are you saying? What's in the handwritten note that you wrote? What's in the email that you wrote? And you start to dissect it more and more. But if it's just a task that you're checking off, here's what I'd rather you do. Commit to getting 5 points a day for a month. Then commit to doing 10 points a day for a month. Then commit to doing 20 points a day for a month, right? And see what happens. And because I got to tell you, Randall, when was the last time you took a buyer out to see houses?
I took one out last night.
Okay. So,
but before that, it was like a week or so.
All right. But on the points, if you show them 2 homes, you get 10 points. That's 10 points, right? You wrote an offer. Look how many times we've all written offers this year and gotten rejected. Anybody had that happen? Oh yeah. About 1,000 times between all of us. Okay. Well, every time you write an offer, what is that? Does anybody have it in front of them? I think that's 10 points, right? But you're not writing an offer for the exercise of writing an offer. Your buyer really wants to buy that house, right? So, and they got rejected. Oh, they were 10,000 short. Or out here the other day, we lost one because we were 200,000 short. A house just went for 2.4 million over asking in San Francisco. Unfortunately, I looked at the asking price and it was ridiculously low. So it's really a trumped up number. But I'm just saying, you wrote the offer, you went through the trouble, you got them pre-approved, you got all that done, that's worth the 10 points. You do enough of that, you're going to start doing more deals. Okay, so all we're doing is eating the elephant one little bite at a time. The biggest problem with the RAMP program is the crap you tell yourself while you're going through it. Enough of that. All right? It's just a 12-week program. And yes, there's a lot to do, but it's teaching you the seriousness. That's why if you look, and we just talked about this when I was on the other link, is that that week ended with 2 videos, Cleve, the second to last video, talking about how to hold yourself accountable, and then Verl doing the wrap up. And I loved it because Cleve was basically in your face saying, you're kidding yourself. But with a group like this, there's a lot of seriousness. And the bigger problem is not that you're kidding yourself. It's that you're beating up on yourself for things you have done that you're not giving yourself enough credit for. Thank you, honey. My wife put my computer up a little higher so I could look directly in all of your eyes. Okay, so, all right, so good job, Randall, on expressing it. Did what I say help you tackle that whole thing about the 61 points and the other stuff that you're doing?
Yeah, it definitely did. It's just not about racking up the points. It's about doing the steps that actually get you close deals. Actually. Exactly.
It's like I had a guy, I think I may have shared this story with you guys, probably not, but back in the 90s when I was running a real estate office, somebody else's office, but I was the manager. And we had one of my assistant managers to teach a class on door knocking. So this guy goes out, starts door knocking, and he comes to us and he goes, I've knocked on like 1,000 doors. And we're like, 1,000? That's a lot. Well, when did you start? He goes, like 2 months ago when you taught the class. And I'm like, oh, that's pretty good. And he said, not one person has said yes. So have you guys heard me tell this story? So we go inside of my office, my manager's office, me and Rusty, the guy who taught the class. And Rusty's an incredible door knocker. And we shut the door and we go, okay, pretend we're one of the doors. So he knocks on my office door. I open the office door and I said, hi, how can I help you? Who are you? What are you doing here? And he goes, oh, I'm a realtor. You're not thinking about selling your house, are you? Me and my partner, Rusty, look at him and go, what the freak? Are you an idiot? Is that what you've said every time somebody opened the door? He goes, yeah, pretty much. He's asking a question that you want a positive answer to in a negative. You're not thinking about selling your home, are you? What? So sometimes, Randall, it goes to what we said. It's not about the activities, but it's about the execution, right? And that's how we know. We know, well, if you're getting 61 points and you're not closing deals, something else is wrong, right?
Hey, Rick, can I share my door knocking experience?
Yes, Leslie.
Because I thought it was pretty.
And then we're going to go to Mike Deblack. So go ahead.
So when the team sold the property on James Street in Livermore. It's kind of an unassuming, middle class area in Livermore. And it was $750 and Rick ended up selling it for $830. So I made a postcard and I put on just a regular unassuming outfit and went and walked all the, blocks around James. And I did a trick you taught us earlier, like, hey, I'm not selling anything,
Yeah.
I just wanted to let you know that that house that was for sale on James went 80,000 over asking, and here's the information. And every single person that I had a chance to talk to me. I didn't get any business from it yet, but I've now added them to my farm and will continue working in the area. But, as soon as people, and you, I think you talked, someone you've met in your career did that, I'm not selling anything.
Yeah.
And as soon as they know you're not selling them anything, they relax. And everybody wants to know how much a house in their neighborhood sold for. I mean, everybody wants to know that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Good story. And thank you for sharing that, because I remember it with fondness and I've used you as an example on a lot of those. So, yeah. All right. So who else has something that they want to share? Because I want to move into just talking about the week 4. So who else has something they want to throw out there about your experience, your attitude, anything that you're struggling with?
I'll go. This is Mike. I have struggled with, I have over 2,000 people in my KB core, and just assigning the A's, B's, and C's seems like a daunting task.
Yeah.
So that's kind of just something I've struggled with, something I know I need to do. But this morning I ended up sending like a mass text to people who they're paid leads. And I basically used one of the scripts or a variation of one of the scripts in a text message, basically giving them options like, so as a simple response, like send me back A, B, C, or D. And I had like little descriptions of kind of what category they fell into. And these are people I like probably haven't talked to in over a year. And I got a pretty good response rate so far this morning, just with them kind of categorizing themselves.
Yeah. And so when you look at what you've done, can you say you're proud of yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing the same thing as Randall, the 61 points.
Right.
They're not fake points.
Okay.
But so yeah, I'm getting the 60, but same thing. Like I'm mainly focused on getting those 61 points and being productive with my days, which I feel I am. It just some of the tasks I prioritize getting those points and making those contacts higher than organizing the database, which is something I know I need to do.
Right.
But
so would everyone here agree that we are not good, any of us probably, at how to prioritize? Not all tasks are created equal. And I can remember being in classes in the early parts of the between 2000 and 2005 of saying, All right, well, if you want to, there was no Facebook between 2000 and 2005. But if you want to spend more time finding the people that you forgot you knew that should be on your SOI, when do you do that? Well, you do it before 8 in the morning or after 8 in the evening, right? Because those middle hours, 8 to 8, is when you could be talking to clients and doing proactive lead generation. Clerical duties, even handwriting notes wasn't technically considered a lead generation activity. So you want to look at, am I doing anything that's passive lead generation? What's passive lead generation? An open house is passive lead generation. It's sitting around waiting for somebody to walk in. How do you make it active? By knocking on 50 doors a day for the 5 days before the open house. That's how you make it active. Now you've invited a bunch of people to come and see you. All right. But if you just do an open house, put signs up, put some ads in, excuse me, that is passive. What else is passive? In the old days, and then we still do it in some places, something called floor time. Do any of you real young people, by young, I mean under 40, remember floor time? Floor time was when all the office signs had one phone number, and the office would say, oh, you get to man the phones for the next hour and a half, and any leads were yours, right? Well, when I used to run a Century 21 and a Coldwell Banker, floor time was a big deal because only phone number on the signs were the office number. So everybody would really want, like, there's a lot of people say, I don't want floor time. And I would be like, I'll take all the floor time you can get, right? Because I can work while I'm waiting for the phone to ring. I could make other calls. So, but that was still passive lead generation because you're waiting for a phone call to come. Everything else is active: door knocking, calling, all the things you do, working, doing face-to-faces with your top 50. So it really is a big deal in terms of checking out what you're doing, how you're feeling about doing it. You're doing it begrudgingly. And I just did a long talk for a group the other day of team leaders talking about and we talked about it here 2 weeks ago when I said, does action beget belief or does belief beget action? And both answers are yes. In other words, sometimes you don't believe that any of this is going to work. Like Ryan's never going to have a belief anymore that doesn't say it absolutely works to call people that are sitting in your phone that you haven't talked to in a long time, period. Right? Do you know how many times I talk to people and they go, that crap doesn't work? I'm like, did you try it? Did you do it? No, but and we all do this. We relate it to something we don't like. Do you knock on doors? No, because I don't like it when people knock on my door. Oh, so everybody in the world thinks like you? Where did you get that stupid idea? Okay, no, not everybody thinks like me. So you say, oh, I won't door knock because I don't like it when people knock on my door. Okay, then that won't be your pillar. You just need 4 pillars. There's about a gazillion different pillars you can use. You just need 4. Pick them. Don't tell me what you won't do. Tell me what you will do. Does that make sense to most of you? I mean, I'm not yelling at any of you guys. I'm talking about the frustration that builds up in our own heads. And we try to, what do we do with our frustrations? We rationalize them. Well, a lot of people feel this way, so I'm okay to feel less than. You're not less than, you're amazing. You're plenty than, right? So give it some thought as you do that. But I do want to talk a little bit about, does anybody have anything pressing they want to say before I jump into week 4, before we get to 11 o'clock? Vanessa, were you going to say something? Oh, okay. All right. So Janelle, what does the little target mean? The little bullseye, what does that mean?
Well, I'm laughing, and you really hit it right on the head about when you think that everyone is like you.
Yeah.
I was having that struggle last week and had a conversation with one of my business partners, and that's what it was about. Well, I don't like people calling me every 3 days to follow up and try to get me to buy something. So I don't want to take that approach.
Right.
So, but
So
I was told otherwise. No, you just keep at it until they tell you basically to
go to hell. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the whole thing. Even Verl in one of them says you call until they buy or tell you to die, right? And I used to say, I'm going to call until they buy from me or they file a restraining order against me. Okay. So All right, a couple of things. Let's, how many of you have been kind of looking at each chapter and then seeing which of the scrolls they're talking about? So this one is scroll number 4, and it's called I am nature's greatest miracle. And what he says in here is, I am nature's greatest miracle. I'm not on this earth by chance. I'm here for a purpose, and that purpose is to grow into a mountain, not to shrink to a grain of sand. Henceforth, will I apply all of my efforts to become the highest mountain of all, and I will strain my potential until it cries for mercy. It goes on to say, I have unlimited potential. Only a small portion of my brain do I employ. Only a paltry amount of my muscles do I flex. 100-fold or more can I increase my accomplishments of yesterday, and this I will do beginning today. So it talks a lot about that. Then if you, when we talk about mindset, one of my wife and I's favorite books, and I love that it was quoted in here. And by the way, did any of you guys do the downloads? We'll get to those in a minute, but one of my favorite books, let's see. Oh yeah, Leslie, I like that you said that. You are not called to live a mediocre life. Now, let me share my screen with you. This book called Mindset by Carol Dweck is amazing. And if you look at that, it talks, there's a YouTube that you can watch that I'll try to include it. I'll try to include it in the wrap-up letter, guys. There's a YouTube about a TED Talk that Carol Dweck did about this book. This book is a tough read because it's clinical, but it's so good. Like, you really got to read it and understand the difference between a growth mindset and what they call a fixed mindset. All right. Now, one of the other things that you want to focus on in there, and Verl talks a lot about it, Cleve talks a lot about it, is your mindset. I also wanted to make sure that you guys downloaded the different things that they asked to, and one of them was open house on steroids. That is a Google file filled with tons of great stuff. A lot of that is stuff that I was taught when I was younger, and I gave it to workmen, for instance. I don't know how many of you saw the part where it said, and Shauna, my team leader's on here, and she's my business partner too, but we both knew the guy that taught it to me, that said, that you had a sign out front on a card table in front of the open house that said, entering this home is not a right, it's a privilege. The seller has asked that you sign in with your information. And then even today, in the day of COVID and uncertainty in the safety world, people have written on these pieces of paper that are in front of their open house saying, entering this open house is not a right, it's a privilege. The seller has asked that for their own safety and security, that you fill out your name, your phone number, and your email address as a matter of protecting themselves, right? So, and we had forms that you could fill out, meaning, and I don't think they're in there, but one of the questions at the top of the form, taught to me by one of Shauna's mentors named Scott Watson, said at the top of it, it said, you may call me about real estate, with a checkbox, or the next line said, please do not call me about real estate. And a lot of them would check that box, do not call me about real estate, right? That's all we said is call, but the form asked for their name, address, and email and phone number, right? And they would fill all that out. This was a form that they had to fill out. It was on a clipboard, and they ran it like that. Like, in other words, they had the card table with flowers, and they had an agent out on the card table, and you had to sign in the form before you were allowed to go into the open house. If they wouldn't sign in the form, they were refused entrance to the open house. Simple as that, right? There's other open houses down the street. But in the 1991 era, when we were holding regular open houses and struggling to get 3 people through the whole 3-hour open house, this guy's open houses had a line down the street of people waiting in. And he literally would have 2 agents outside, 2 agents inside, even if the house was only 1,500 square feet. And the agents on the outside were taking these clipboards and giving them to people standing in line saying, please fill this out. And then when they would send them into the house, they'd go, Hey, Scott, I'm introducing you to Tom and Mary Jackson. Tom, Mary, this is Scott, the lead agent on our open house. He'll take good care of you now that you're inside of the home. So it was a complete system of handing off. And they would plan these open houses 2 weeks ahead of time. And the two agents that sat outside, their job was to knock each on 50 doors a day for the 5 days before the open house. So that's 250 each. So 500 doors were knocked on before the open house. You get it? Like it's crazy what you could do if you organize and take everything you do seriously. Shauna, I don't see where you are, but do you have,
Yeah, the nice thing about that is that the agents that would do it, like Scott, obviously he mentioned was one of them, is the neighbors would be like, what is this guy doing to get all these people into our neighbor's house
Yeah.
to sell their house? And then
so
they
they'd
get
want to
listings.
hire them. Yeah, they'd want to
Yeah.
hire them to sell their house. So
Yeah.
yeah, so it's there's a lot that you can say that you can do differently than what we talked about, but yeah, so any questions, comments, or thoughts on that? Anyone? No? Okay.
My perspective on open houses is you're going to spend 3, 4, 5 hours out of your day to sit there and hold a house open in hopes that people are coming. Just make the most of it because you just spent all that time out of your day where you could have done other stuff. So, advertise it, send flyers, do door knocking, do whatever you can. If you didn't have a chance to do that, bring something that's going to allow you to work on your business while you're there if it happens to be slow. But just make use of the time that's not personal time, that's business time. That's always been my perspective on open houses.
Yep.
I
All
built
right.
my business on open houses.
Yeah, talk to me about that, Vanessa.
So I didn't know anybody in Oklahoma when I moved here 17 years ago. And because I knew I just wasn't going to sit on the phone and call, but then I've added to the whole open house thing now because I actually have a system where I list the house, I send a postcard, I follow up with a phone call, under contract, follow up with another phone call. But between that, if we're having an open house, we follow up the same 150 phone numbers with the phone call and try and build rapport. But we also do door knock. We door knock right around it, the 50 houses, but we call 150. So there's a little bit of a system that we've added to it, but it tends to get us more people with the just listed postcard. Like we're hitting them at every angle. Not only are we like just calling them and knocking doors, we're also, we're in the neighborhood. So we'll send things out, but we're touching them at least 6 times during that one listing. And then we'll come back to them if they're close to another listing that we have. But I built my business off of making those relationships. I knew which neighborhoods I wanted to be in. People will say like, oh, she owns that neighborhood. Like, and I'm like, yeah, I did. And now I don't want to own it anymore. Like because I live in it. I'm like, please, other people come in, because all the people who are in there, I put in there and they reach out to me for real. It's super easy, but I don't want to list the houses. I don't want to work close to me anymore. So I've just chosen other neighborhoods around me.
Yeah. Well, and so it's so funny you say that, Vanessa, because Sean and I have a friend named Dave Vigil, who was one of the best and most consistent door knockers I've ever met in my life. And I had a talk with him, I want to say in 1997 or 98. And I said, man, when remember I took that file over to your house and dropped it on your doorstep. And he goes, yeah. And I go, you have 2 houses for sale on your street that don't have your sign on them, on your street. I said, that would make me want to shoot myself in the eyeballs. Like, and he goes, I'm completely fine with that, Rick. I don't want to do business with the people that, like he said, I can't even, in the old days when I used to do that in my old neighborhood before I moved here, he said, I couldn't even play catch with my son in the front lawn without somebody interrupting and saying, hey, what's going on in the real estate market? He goes, that's why I moved. So everybody has their thing, right? Vanessa doesn't want anything to do with it. But man, if you put a Remax sign on the house next door to mine, I want to kill myself.
No, not me. I really don't. I don't want to be bothered. I don't want anybody to, when they see my garage door come up, like come over or say, because a lot of those people are my friends. And I work really, really hard so I don't have to be bothered by my neighbors. So I can pick and choose who I work with. And yes, I do their commercial deals, I'll do their stuff, but like I just don't want anybody telling me like just because I'm home, I'm not working. They don't understand I work 24/7 until they start working with me again. And now people are like, how do you do what you do? Like I don't want to even like I don't even want to call you because you're so busy. That's what I'm going against now. But I don't want anybody in my neighborhood. I don't care. I don't care. I don't want to know their finances like that. I don't want to know their marital problems like that. I don't want to open my door like that at all.
Yes, let's be honest, you do open yourself to the dysfunctions of the families you represent. So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to know them like that.
And you've lived where you live now quite a while, right?
17 years.
We're in the same house, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I can get that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right. Okay, so this is good. This is a healthy discussion. And what I want to make sure is that there are simple basics going on. I did love that, both Burl and Cleve at the end talked about carrots versus sticks, right? And I'm a very low C. So let's talk about that for a minute, because you have to know that carrot stick analogy, are you motivated by a carrot or a stick? And I would say a croissant or a beating. Yeah. So I'm not a carrot guy, but my brother brought croissants this morning. I was like, oh, cool. But the reason I say that is that's got a lot to do with your behavioral style. If you heard Verl talk at the end on the wrap-up call, he said he's more motivated by a trip, a gift card, those kinds of things. He said even when he started to have more money in his life, and this is something he told us once in a talk, he was still turned on by something as simple as a $10 gift certificate, even though a $10 gift certificate made no difference to him in his life. Do you get what I'm saying? It was the act of having been rewarded for your activities. And I noticed, because I have a really low C, what a low C means, I have no D in my profile, so I'm not a high D at all. I'm a super, super low D. But a low C is kind of the rule breaker disc profile. And when you're a rule breaker, that means you want to do things differently than anyone else. So when someone says to me, like when my wife says to me two and a half years ago, I don't see you doing all of the things you're coaching people to do, Rick. That's kind of hypocritical, right? So that's a stick. That's not a carrot. What's a carrot to me, Rick? It's amazing what you're able to handle at one time. That's a carrot. A stick is, I don't see you doing all the things in your team and for yourself that you're telling other people to do, which makes you kind of a hypocrite, right? So that is so, for me, that pushes me more. I'll show you, that kind of thing. Is anybody an I'll show you kind of person? Be honest. Yeah, Vanessa. Yeah, I know you are, Vanessa. That's why we got along so well, right? You wanted to prove to your husband that you could retire him. You wanted to prove to your family that you could make more money than anybody ever did in the history of the family, right? Vanessa's all, I'm going to break all cycles and traditions. Watch me, right? Yeah, see, look at her grinning. And what else is a carrot for Vanessa? Because her and I are a lot alike. Words of affirmation. I don't know your love language, but I would bet you words of affirmation is one of your love languages, right? And when you got that award, remember that award, right? You go, well, show it to me. Go ahead, show it to me. Yeah. So when she got that award, she was like taking pictures with it and everything. And the reward is worthless. You could drop it and get 20 bucks and buy another one, but it's what it stands for. Okay. So thank you, Vanessa, for using that. Janelle, go ahead, sweetie.
Oh, no, I didn't have anything to say. I was just raising my hand.
Oh, okay.
I'm the same way.
Oh.
My attitude is I'll show you.
Yeah. Yeah. And Sonia Zizian said, I'd like to accept this award on behalf of my whole team. Thank you. Thank you. Anyway, so yeah. All right. So a lot of good stuff this week, a lot of check-ins. Hey, James Dunn, good to have you on the call, buddy. But really, you've really got to just check in with yourself and pay attention to your feelings, your demons, your the things that are making us react. You always got to remember, here's one thing, rule of life. If you are triggered by anything, the way someone sounds, what they said, the trigger is not in the person you're being triggered by. It's in what it reminds you of about yourself that's triggering you. Okay. And no one likes hearing that rule, because then they go, oh, you mean all my shit's because of me? Yeah, all your shit's because of you. Exactly. All your goo, all your mess, all your muck, all of your demons, they all revert right back to here. So what do I ask myself? Like, even if my wife, as much as we've grown together over 13 years, personal development, professional development, if I'm triggered now, I go, what is it about what she just said, or what she just did, or what she just didn't do that's triggering me? And how is it a reflection of an issue I have with myself? If we could all learn to ask ourselves this, we wouldn't be in political arguments all day. We wouldn't be in COVID or vaccine arguments all day. We wouldn't spend 1 second on things we don't control. Not one, but we all do. We spend the majority of our time. If that daily success habits form that, Randall and Mike Deblack all talked about this morning, if you look to the left of that form, it's that activity tracker that's timing every 30 minutes of what you did. If you were honest and put down how many minutes you spent in each half hour thinking about shit that you had no control over, my God, you'd be like, I could have sold 8 houses today. All right. So there's a lot. It's our issue, guys. And I remember what I said. I said it on the other link before I got onto the correct link. I said that RAMP is an exercise in futility in a lot of ways, because of how much of yourself you have to face to go through a program like that. And the reason a lot of people will sign up for RAMP Live at a lot more money, $449 for one 13-week course, and we're only getting it at that price because of my relationship with them. It's normally $11.97, is because they know their demons, and they know they needed to be checked in with a lot more often. So when you Mike, you Janelle, you Shauna, you James, you Sean, every one of you have a week from today till we meet again. And next time we meet, it's going to be over week 5. And right now, we're all telling ourselves, I'm going to be completely caught up by then, right? And it goes back to the rule I told you about in the first week. The doctor said an apple a day keeps the doctor away. He didn't say have 7 apples on Saturday, did he? It doesn't work that way. And Sonia, are you really? Do you want to come off mute for a minute? You're doing RAMP Live simultaneously. Sonia Zizian from Las Vegas. She sells in the Las Vegas market and the San Francisco Bay Area market, both. And she says she's doing this one and RAMP Live simultaneously.
Yeah.
Can you tell us, you said, I know your demons. Are you open to being, she's taken a lot of the same personal development courses I have. She's like my sister from another mister. So tell me, Sonia, what your demons that you knew of that you needed to take RAMP Live.
So for me, I mean, all of us, I think, I'm sure on this call, being self-employed and being in this industry, we have to be disciplined, and we work. And while I know that I can get distracted, and, it's like, as opposed to being proactive in my business, I'm a lot of times reactive, like, oh my God, this deal over here is about to blow up. And then I have to stop everything, like my prospecting or all the other things that I'm supposed to be doing to put out a fire. So I decided I paid the $500 to do the live, because if I am not, I can't hold myself accountable, to be honest. That's my demon, because I'm so busy trying to help others. And, I'll jump in with somebody else's deal or somebody on my team to kind of get them through something before I put my prospecting in order or stay on track with my schedule, because I just want to be of service. And so for me, my demons is putting myself first and staying committed to what I'm trying to accomplish. And so by joining the live program, I felt that would be a way where we have an accountability partner, but it's not just one-on-one. There's a number of other interactions that we do that will help me stay on point. So, and then, but here's the thing: we're actually 1 week behind your guys' class, Rick.
Right.
I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah.
And I don't know if any of you guys have actually printed out the book.
Well, that's not, the live book is a different book than they got. They able to print out. The only way you can get the live book is, I think, what do you send, 50, 60 bucks to, well, you get it free when you sign up for the course, but
Yeah,
I
you
think
get it for
can buy
$500.
yeah. But I think you can buy that Ramp Live book through John Miller at Workman Success Systems, the guy I told you about in the beginning,
Yes.
by just sending 50 or 60 bucks or something. But I have one, but I have one because I have the teacher's guide.
Your instructor, yeah.
Yeah, so, but it's something worth, and by the way, I did put the two books, Carol Dweck's Mindset book and the Carrots and Sticks book, link for them on Amazon in the chat for any of you that want them, okay?
Mhm.
Sonia, thank you so much for contributing to that, so I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Does anybody have any comments based on that? That I can help with, you know, in anything that, anyone? I'm trying to also find the Carol Dweck TED Talk on TED Talk on YouTube for us. So yeah. Anyone? Okay. All right. Let's see. So I'm going to put this last talk in. Let me see here. I'll put it here. Copy. Good. I think now I'm going to teach you all a quick lesson on the chat. If you open the chat right now, and then down at the bottom, on the very bottom on the far right, you're going to see three little dots. And if you click on those three little dots, one of them says, I thought it would say, the top one should say save chat. How many of you got that? Okay, good.
Yes.
So you can just click on that and it'll save the chat to your computer. Here's the thing I haven't figured out yet. Once it's saved, where the hell do I find it? Good luck with that. I appreciate your attendance today. All right, I really love this. I won't make the mistake again about being on the wrong group. I should have paid attention to my phone as it was blowing up with people, but we'll have the recording, we'll send it out. And thank you guys for being on, for challenging me to be a better me, and for teaching me lessons that I'll go out and use between now and next Friday. Let's be committed, all of us, by the end of week 5, that weeks 1 through 5 will be done finally and forever. Oh, one last thing. Next Friday, on my first and third free Friday coaching calls of the month, the whole hour is committed to the business plan workbook. The whole hour. Now, you guys can get on that. What's that?
So I think I joined that link. Will I get like an email or get like a notification when it starts, or do I need to save it in my calendars right now?
No, you're not gonna, if you're not on the free Friday coaching call email list, I'm going to put Gina's email in the, Gina, my assistant. Okay. Shauna, are you still on?
Yes.
Would you mind, you can email Gina to get on the email list. Shauna's about, if you don't mind, Shauna, post my normal free Friday coaching call Zoom link that anybody can jump on anytime. It's not, this Ramp one is a secured link only for Ramp people. And those of you that jumped on, so Shauna, if you put it in the chat real quick, I don't know how to turn it into a link, frankly, but and just go on that. It starts at 9 a.m. Pacific time, and we're going to spend the whole hour on the workbook. All right. And I think you're going to love that. Shauna, also, if you have the email I sent to the team with the link to the workbook, maybe you could throw that in too. Let's hang on the call for a minute, guys, till it's in the link. And then you guys can,
I'll get it.
yeah. And then the reason that that's important to me, this is considered business planning season. Typically between September and November, you want to get your business plan for 2022 done. And you, oh good, you did your numbers yesterday. Thank you for that. Remember to get Gina's email address, email her and say, I'd like to be on the permanent email list for Rick's free Friday coaching call. And then you'll be getting the emails every first and third weeks with an email showing how to watch the previous one. And if you Google me, if you search for me on YouTube, you'll find my YouTube channel. We record all of those Free Friday coaching calls, and you can go back and watch those, some of them, if you're up to it.
Hey,
All
Rick.
right, sir. Yes, sir.
Hey, it's Anthony over here. How you doing today?
Good, buddy. How are you?
Good. Thank you for asking. I've completed week 1 through 3, and this week I'm going to do week 4. But you want us to be all completed, but with everything by the start of next week, Monday?
No, what I would like, I mean, obviously by the time we do our ramp call at 10 a.m. next Friday, I love those kinds of suckers. Vanessa, please stop torturing me. Yummy. What I'd like you to do is just be next Friday, we are going over week 5, and it would be good to have a commitment or goal for yourself to be completely done with all of the assignments from day 1 to the end of week 5. The 9 o'clock call is if you didn't finish the business plan workbook, which was in week 1, get on my 9 o'clock call. I'm going to review it in detail. We're not going to take, in 1 hour, we can't complete the business plan workbook, but we're going to go over the mindset of each question and how to make sure that you have answered it and filled it right. Does that sound right, Anthony?
Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right.
How many
Thank you.
besides me have hair envy because Anthony has such a great head of hair? Just saying. Okay. All right. Let's see. I think Shauna put the workbook in, and I think I have just the answer for the, right here. Oh, and then she just put in my link, my YouTube link for the Free Friday coaching call. So you're all set, guys. If you will copy that, be on there, and we're going to go over that in the whole hour. Like, that's all we're going to focus on is that one thing. And I'm going to get started right at 9, and we're going to go right to 10. And then I'll switch over and get on the ramp call, and we'll go into week 5. All right. Okay, that's it. We went over time, but I appreciate you guys hanging in there. And again, apologies for the mix up, but we will be better next week. All right. Take care, everybody. Have a wonderful week, and dismiss your demons and accept your greatness. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Rick.
Bye, everybody.